next presenter is Jeremy. And Jeremy designs scenery and puppetry for TV, film, and theater. He has an architecture degree from RISD and a great affection for the building trade, but he has chosen design for storytelling instead. Here's Jeremy.
So that's Richard Florida. He wrote a very popular series of books saying that people like architects, biotech workers, and urban bohemians form this new social class in the country that he calls the creative class. And he says they're vital to our economy, and the cities need to provide the sort of amenities and conditions these people require. I'm here to explain that these two words, separately and together, are horrible. I'm here to explain that the way this term is popularly used to describe young, hip, artsy people making cities really awesome is actually mostly wrong and misunderstands the idea. And then I'm going to offer you two new words to use to describe it. So we'll start at the top with creative. I hate this word. If you're like me, and I'm sure most of the people in this room are, it goes like this. You've made some piece of work, it's on display, you blew your brains out getting it done, somebody's looking at it, they're taking it in, and then they turn to you and they say, "You're so creative." And this term has the neat trick of expressing envy and disdain at the same time. Envy because I have this magical power that allows me to create original work, and disdain because it explains away all of the effort involved and turns the act of creation into an adjective describing a state of being, like brunette. Okay? Creative is a nauseating, sentimental term that romanticizes the production of original work, removes it from the category of things that are work, and if you're like me, you've railed against the notion that creative work is simply playtime or too much fun to be a real job. So if we're going to walk down to City Hall and talk about how we need to incentivize a group of people, why on earth would we use this term? Okay, it doesn't have anything to do with what they're good for or what they provide to other people. It just is about their specialness. So the next word is class. Americans hate the word class, okay? It's a very aristocratic notion. It comes from old countries that we left in order to come here. Okay? Pretty much every American will describe themselves as middle class. And that's the way you are. We're Americans. We're middle class. People on the TV will go into fits if you say that the wealthy are anything but middle class. And we know this because of the way we talk about it. We talk about the middle class. But who do we have below the middle class? Do we have the lower class? No, of course not. Not in this country. That's gauche. We have the poor, which is simply the middle class without any money. And then what do we have above the middle class? Is it an upper class? Of course not. We have the rich, which is the middle class with money added. Okay? So the next slide, this slide is all of the workers that Richard Florida identifies as creative class. We've all seen the ones at the top. The ones he sneaks in at the bottom, I'm interested in. Business administration, financial services, the healthcare system, the legal system, and related fields. This stretches the definition of creative to meaninglessness. So the notion that the creative class creates this hip and trendy city is wrong, because the bulk of the creative class as defined, business, finance, law, medicine, are consumers and beneficiaries of hipness and trendiness. They are not its producers. I'm going to breathe. The core characteristic of people in the creative class, as I've been able to glean it, is that they don't like to be bossed around and told what to do. And so the way you become a member of the creative class is you refuse to make being bossed around, you make that a condition of your employment, that you won't be bossed around and told what to do. And so that leaves you a couple of tracks, according to Florida. You can be like this guy over there and become a master of industry, open your own firm, make pantloads of money, except not on those. Or you can work for this guy over there, like this one is. You work for him 80 hours a week, but you insist on wearing flip-flops the whole time, and you insist there's a bunch of Snapple and energy drinks in the fridge. Or you become a bohemian and you don't have any money at all. All of these are creatives. If you don't do that, you end up as one of these other classes here. That's a social class. These are economic sectors. That's why this is such a hot mess, okay? Now, these people, Florida explicitly describes as the chauffeurs and the butlers of the people up here. And he calls the people up here to give these people a vision for their lives. And so these two words, top one in particular, are a groovy, bohemian fig leaf draped across a theory that ratifies neoliberal economics. Outsourcing, downsizing, wage suppression. It doesn't create it. but it ratifies it. So if you're in a mood to talk about hip, young, artsy people making our cities awesome and more livable, don't use the words creative class. It's not what it means, okay? I'm going to offer you 2 new words to use. And the first one is culture. Culture is something that makes a place great in good economic times and in bad, okay? It's why people go to Rome and Paris and New York and Austin, Texas. They don't go to tour the Department of Motor Vehicles. They go for a museum. They go to sample a local specialty in a bistro or in a food truck, okay? The next term is sector. Sector is all about what people are good for, what they actually produce for others. And the interesting thing is, it combines people of differing tastes, differing political and economic strata, and different social affiliations, which is useful if you're trying to create a nice inclusive society. What's next? And so it's far, far better to go downtown and say that we need to support a culture sector which creates, maintains, sells, promotes cultural products, rather than to argue for a creative class of the educated, the imaginative, and the self-involved. So let's all just rehearse this in our minds. Culture sector, okay? It's a valuable part of the economy. A strong culture sector attracts the sort of entrepreneurial, job-creating types that everybody likes to have. Oh, and by the way, it's nicer for everybody else, too. Okay? So let's just take a moment. We're going to say this all together right now. Culture sector. We'll use it in a sentence. I work in the culture sector. Providence, Rhode Island had a strong manufacturing base, but now it is buoyed by its thriving culture sector. Thank you. Go do what you do and stop using the words creative class. Thank you.